Hey y'all, this is Amanda and welcome back to my Texas Zone 8A garden, and today we're going to be doing a September garden tour. I skipped the month of August because it was too hot, so I'm really excited to show you all what's going on in the garden. So we're here at the end of September. Actually, today is October 1st, but we're going to call this a September garden tour. And we're here at the end of September, and while the temperatures are still hot, it is getting a little bit cooler during the evenings. We do have a few more days of 90+ degree weather, and then this Wednesday we'll be receiving a lot of rain, and then we're going to be dropping down into temps with highs in the 70s, which will be wonderful. But I want to give you all some update of what's going on in the garden. So I'm going to go ahead and start with what's behind me, because this area was an area that I did a lot of pruning on in mid to late midsummer, and you can see it's all kind of come back with a vengeance. The bougainvillea is doing really well. This is a blueberry ice bougainvillea. I actually need to train it a little bit more. Doing well. Some beautiful lantana coming back. Even some of the petunias are doing well. Everything that I did a really nice harsh cutback on is doing really, really good now, and that kind of ends up being really important in my particular area. During the summer, you don't want your plants to have to deal with supporting a lot of blooms or a lot of extra greenery or foliage, and so cutting them back is very helpful. I have a few different varieties of volunteer celosia that are doing really well over here. I really do need to do some harvesting over here. I think that's actually a video I'm going to have coming up. I've hesitated to harvest because I wanted to leave a lot of stuff for you all so you could see it in the garden tour. But all the celosia, which I've harvested a ton off of this summer, is doing really well and coming back. I especially love the gold right here. Now, coming around the back, I'm going to get Jeff to swing around so that he can get a picture of this entire bed. So this is an area that I had cut back, and then I'd also added a lot of new zinnia seedlings in here, and I still have about 45 days of grow time before our first frost. So I will get some more zinnia blooms from here, which will be really nice. And then I had these zinnias were volunteers that came up, and they were all falling over. I did go through and support a bunch of them, so they're doing a lot better. This guy didn't make it right here. And then over here I have a lot of the scabiosa, which is starting to come to bloom, back to bloom, status, which is coming back to bloom. Everything's coming back to bloom now that it's cooler outside. Over this way I have a bunch of gomphrena that has gone crazy. This is Audrey White, and I need to come through and harvest a ton of this. It's looking really good. These marigolds are not so great. This particular variety was called Spun Orange, and let me get Jeff to show you a close-up of what one of the blooms looks like. It's like a really tight marigold. I don't particularly like it, so I don't think I'll be growing this particular variety again. They just didn't really do much for me, and I don't think they're appropriate for cut flowers. So I'm actually going to be pulling those up soon. I have lots of zinnias doing well. Specifically, I've got some really beautiful blush, queen lime blush zinnias. Let me get Jeff to show you guys some more close-ups of this bed. So I'll touch a few flowers so you can see. So this is a queen lime blush, which is absolutely gorgeous. And then I do have some polar bear whites, which are doing nice. And then back over here, I believe, I can't remember which particular variety of zinnia this is, but it's doing very nicely. A couple of new varieties of celosia, which are just doing, I love this kind of like salmon-y color. I don't see the tag for it, but stay right there, Jeff. So back here, we've got some Sunday pink celosia, which is growing absolutely beautiful. Love the bright fluorescent pink. And some additional varieties of celosia. Everybody's ready to be cut. I'm kind of excited to get in here and do some flower arrangements. These are all looking really nice. This is the Queen Lime Green, I believe. Zinnia, which is doing really nice here. And then I did have the peach. This is a peach celosia, which is quite lovely. It's doing really, really nicely too. And ironically, out of that same variety, I ended up having this variety as well, which is a variegated celosia. Okay, so in this bed, I did some work in here earlier today. I do have more zinnias coming up that are volunteers, and I actually have some 4 o'clocks here, which I don't love. I typically pull them out every time they come here. They're volunteers. And I'll tell you what, once you plant these in your garden, you cannot get rid of them. Like, I planted these originally 10 feet away, and here they are all the way over here. And then I have tons of lemon basil, which I need to harvest this because it is looking absolutely beautiful. I need to harvest it and look for do some floral arranging with it. Now over here is my Don Juan rose, and it has had some blooms on it. I need to come in here and secure some of this up on the trellis here, but it is doing really good. It's really happy. I'm actually really excited to finally see it blooming because it had not bloomed, and we do have a lot of new growth coming up. All the red portion is new growth. It's not RRD for those of you who might be concerned, but I do need to come in here and secure some of the branches and then trim some of this that's coming forward. But it's looking really nice. It's really happy, and I have a lot of hope for next spring and how beautiful this is going to be. Now, I do have a few mums down here, some of my heirlooms chrysanthemums. This one looks like it's struggling with a little bit of mealy bugs here, so I probably need to treat that. But the heirloom mums, these are all cuttings that I got from King's Mums. So the cuttings were maybe 4 inches tall with a little bit of rooting. So they've done really, really well. And I have 4 of them across there that have done really nicely. And I'm not going to get very many blooms off of them this year, but I expect next spring they'll look really, really good. Okay, so this area, you can see that I've had a lot of sunflowers come to fruition. These are branching sunflower, and I'll have to look at the variety and I'll put that down below. They're doing really good, and I actually love growing branching sunflowers, but I've been dying to do the garden tour so I can come harvest this because, I mean, look how beautiful these are. I'm so excited. I want to harvest and make some arrangements with them. And then I have some additional pro cut sunflowers that are coming up. This will be my last batch right here that are coming up. And then actually once these come up, this whole bed right here will be transitioning to ranunculus because I am going to do fall planted ranunculus this year and try to overwinter them. So that'll be really exciting to kind of show you guys what all is going on regarding that. Now, behind me in this area, I've got some volunteer celosia, but I've got my snapdragons starting to come back. They like a little bit of the cooler weather. Let me pull out some of these weeds here. They like a little bit of the cooler weather, and so they are starting to come back. They've been struggling with some spider mites, so I've been trying to hit them with water on a daily basis to knock off a lot of spider mites. Let me get Jeff up here to show you some of the damage regarding these. And you can see all of the weird variegation, and you see the little black spots on them, all the spider mites. And so basically what I'm just doing is I'm hitting them with some really good water to knock them off. And it has been helping, and I am starting to get some new fresh growth on these, which I think is looking really, really good. Now, transitioning this area, got some crazy celosia. I mean, this looks like a monster. Isn't this crazy looking? Isn't this crazy looking, Jeff? You want to get a close-up of it? I mean, this guy is insane. Like, here's my hand. And I just let him go because he's so fun to look at. I've really enjoyed him. He is staked up because if this wasn't staked, it would fall over in my garden. This is doing beautifully, and I have a lot of other ones that are doing well. I do need to cut some of them back so that they're not crushing all of my marigolds. Marigolds are doing really well in the area. We have this right here. We'll do some close-ups. This is a mission, giant yellow mission marigold. This is a sugar and spice. I believe that's sugar and spice. Back over here is the orange Hawaiian, which is doing really nicely too. So I've got some good ones going, and I've already harvested a ton of marigolds, and they just keep on coming. So the more you harvest them, the more they're going to produce. I also want to show the white celosia over here. Isn't that spectacular? Like, look at this guy. They're so fun. So neat. The white celosias, it's been really fun. This was a volunteer as well. But I'll get Jeff to spin around to the shade garden. Haven't been really showing much on the shade garden. It's just got too hot. So the next big step is to create the big kind of wall barrier that's going to go here. And it involves digging holes in concrete, and I haven't been up to it, so I just haven't been working with it. But the shade garden is going really well. We have been collecting things from Facebook Marketplace, and I've been moving different pottery and containers and decor and stuff into the space. So it is actually coming together. The next big video that I will have will be installing the big piece that's right here, but I need Jeff to come through and dig holes for me. Okay, so this area is another set of pots that I trimmed back in the summer. They're doing pretty good too. I do have this star jasmine that has climbed all the way up my tree, so you can see some of the long pieces. So I might consider moving this for next year so that it doesn't do that again. But it does need a nice trim back so that all of this is not going crazy up the tree. Now this tree this is a maple. This, I think it's like a burgundy wine or something like that. It does struggle during our really hot summers, but it still will give us some really pretty color. And it is growing still really well, but even though it's very well watered, it's really hard when we have such a harsh drought. These are all looking really nice. Now Buffy is over here eating grass. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop. Go on, go on. So my containers with the trailing lantana are stupid gorgeous. This is one single 4-inch plant that is put in here, and they are absolutely beautiful. And I'll let Jeff get a close-up, and then he can swing around this way so he can see some more. So I've got one of them in front of each of the troughs, and I mean, just look at, like, this is one plant. Isn't that insane? Look at that. It's crazy. Oh, I love it. I'm just going to always do it. I know that that is probably boring, but I love it. I did have some of my clematis was like not doing well with the heat. So you can see it all was brittle, and then it decided to start growing new blooms up here. So I'll get Jeff to do a close-up of this. These blooms are really pretty. Beautiful purple. And I think this one is a Dr. Rupel is the variety, but I'm not sure. After a few years, all my labels kind of fall away and I don't see them anymore. The American Beautyberry is doing beautiful. The birds have really been drawn to the area, which has been really fun. They've been over here picking on the berries and stuff. The berries are still absolutely gorgeous, and so it's been really nice to have them for wildlife. And this particular variety is a little bit of a softer lavender tone, which is kind of fun. Now up here we've got the hyacinth bean. This is Ruby Moon hyacinth bean, doing really well. It's starting to put on all its little bean pods, which I love to use for floral arrangements. That's looking really nice. Over here is more of the Lantana. This particular one had a mix of white and purple, which I think looks really nice. Additional hyacinth bean going over. Now this over here, this clematis, this is the Dr. Rupel's clematis. I'll have to look up what the other one is. And this is what it looks like over here. And it is really spreading out, but it's absolutely beautiful. It almost has like an iridescent quality that I don't really think that the video kind of really passes it on very much to y'all. Now over here we do have a butterfly bush that was struggling during the summer. I hacked it back. It's doing really, really nice. My hypericum berries are struggling. I'm not sure if they're going to make it. Did want to point out that my neighbors behind me, I believe, are growing loofah. So that's what all these vines are coming through. And here's like a loofah fruit, I think, coming through. So that's interesting. It's kind of fun. I don't mind it. Hopefully it won't get too out of control, but it'll be interesting to kind of keep an eye on that and see that coming through. Over here we have more beautiful trailing lantana setting, and then this hyacinth bean gets a lot more shade because of the willow tree behind it. So you can see that it is about triple the size that the other ones are, and it's absolutely beautiful. You can actually use these long stems that have the beautiful blooms on them. You can use these for floral arrangements, but it's absolutely stunning. I grow this from seed every year. I love it. I think it's just a really fun plant to have. Now, tucked back in here is all of that clearance coleus that I planted earlier in the summer, and it's doing absolutely beautiful, and I'm about to start harvesting it for some floral arrangements for the fall, but it is really, really beautiful, doing just great. And then of course another trailing lantana. Now this trailing lantana gets a little bit more shade, so it does not have as many blooms as the rest of the trailing lantana have. It's looking really good. Okay, so this area is the main area where I keep the heirloom chrysanthemums, and if you recall, I planted a lot of these in in early spring. Some of them were full plants from Bluestone Perennials, and then I do have some that are cuttings right here from King's Mums. Now, I don't think the King's Mum cuttings are really going to give me blooms this year, and that's fine, but y'all, I don't know if you can see this, but we are going to get a ton of blooms from a lot of these heirloom chrysanthemums from the Bluestone Perennials. They were more mature plants when they got to me. I am so excited. These stems, a lot of these are like almost 2 feet long already. Look at all this. I cannot wait till these start blooming. I will do a special video just on the blooming chrysanthemums to share with you all. And I am pretty psyched. This has been my big project this year. I'm grabbing a giant weed from back here. This has been my big project this year that I've been so excited about. And I mean, I cannot wait. These are going to be beautiful. These are all perennials in my area. Some of these have already, actually none of these have overwintered. All of these came in the spring. So this will be my first year overwintering them. I'll do a video on the care for that because I am going to mulch them really well. But y'all, if this is just the first fall and this is what they look like the first fall, can you imagine them next spring? I'll get a rush of blooms from them then, and then we'll get a whole nother flush of blooms from them in the next fall. I cannot wait. These are going to be beautiful plants. Most of these get to about 4 to 5 feet tall. So over the years, these are just going to be massive, beautiful blooms for my cut flower arrangements. Okay, so over here is my smoke bush, and I did a really harsh cutback of it in July, and it is coming back and it is giving me blooms, which are ridiculously beautiful. And all of this kind of darker growth, this is all new growth that has come through. So it's looking really good, and it's about time for me to start harvesting and making some flower arrangements with it. This bush is just doing great. I've just really enjoyed it over the years, and I really enjoy that it's put some different colors forth. Now, coming this way, I have a bunch of the Russian sage, which is doing great. It's usually very haphazard. I let it be haphazard. I would like to eventually put some kind of trellis situation over here. I think that would be helpful to it because it does have some cool stuff underneath, like this mohawk grass, which is very cool, and a whole bunch of these zinnias, which have come so far forward into the grass that the grass is growing up through them. Now over here is my Nepeta, my cat's pajamas Nepeta. Originally when I planted this, this is my second round planting this. I planted this in a different area that got too much water and did not do well. It is done beautiful. This is 2 plants. I do intend next fall that I will be digging up and dividing up these plants and spreading them out throughout the side garden because I love it so much. Especially love it with the contrast of this orange rocket barberry behind here, which is just beautiful. Jeff will come through and show you guys some close-up. I do really want to show more red tones throughout the garden. I just think it adds so much contrast. I actually think this whole side garden has too much green. So what I really need to do is work on adding some additional color tones throughout. Now this guy right here is a sweet almond verbena, and it dies back all the way to the ground every year and then comes back from its roots. And I really like its whimsical quality, and its blooms, they smell like almond honey. Like it's ridiculous, and you can be 10 feet away and smell them. They're amazing, and they're consistently covered in pollinators. It's a very happy plant. It's getting bigger and bigger every year. It should eventually get to about the 8 to 10 foot range, and then once again I'll cut it back at the end of every season. It will come back from its roots. Now coming this direction, this is about adding a little bit more color. Right here is a kaleidoscope abelia coming up, and Jeff will come up close on this. It is getting ready to just lose its mind on blooms, but this adds a bunch of kind of like a chartreuse, a yellow tone throughout the garden, which is really needed to break up all of the green that I have. And I've been very happy with the abelia, been very happy with kind of its whimsical quality. And I think it's looking really nice throughout the garden. Now I'm going to get Jeff to step back to show a general, all of this from this is a Golden Falls weeping redbud right here, and all the way over to here. So this is an area that I reworked recently where I dug up some perennials, moved them around, divided some of them, and it's looking better already. These 2 little pixie hollies, we did clean these up, shape these up a little bit more. I did tuck in a new salvia back here. A lot of this stuff isn't going to show up a lot right now, but it will in the future. I tucked in a new coneflower. I moved an aster that had been hidden in the back, and it's actually blooming right now, so it's really pretty. This will actually end up being a pretty large plant. This is called Crimson Brocade Aster, and it is a perennial in my area. And it does usually give me a round of blooms in spring and then again in the fall. Okay, so another aster that I have that's just going bonkers, and I got my asters at Bluestone Perennials. This particular one is, I believe it's the Bluebird, and it is doing beautiful. This is all buds getting ready to start, and Jeff will come up close and show you. So there's been a few blooms in here. There are these really pale lavender purple aster blooms. This makes for a really great cut flower, and it typically blooms once in the spring and then prolifically in the fall. So I really look forward to being able to harvest this very soon. You can see as he steps back, I've got two varieties of Lantana, this one right here and then one that's in the pot right here. And they, of course, love the hot weather. So they really come on strong as we get to the end of the summer. Now back here, I've got, this is called a Black-Eyed Susan vine, and it is finally starting to flower. It did not flower pretty much the whole year. It is finally starting to flower now that we're getting some cooler temps, and I really am enjoying the orange tones. This is not a perennial, that's an annual in my area, but I really enjoyed it. I'm a little disappointed in how long it took to get to this point, but still I grew it from seed, so that was helpful. But yeah, this Lantana, y'all, this is just beautiful. It looks so good. Oh, there's a big old bumblebee. Can I show you? Right here. Look at that big old bumblebee. Yeah, he's sleeping good, or he's having good, but this guy down here is kind of trying to go to sleep. He is on the Stormburst verbena, which is a perennial in my area. He's going to sleep. Alright, so we'll get Jeff to step back and look at this whole area right here as a whole. Okay, so this area is all purslane, which is doing beautiful, and it's all closed up. It closes up at nighttime. It's doing really nice, and then of course my Ruby Falls Weeping Redbud is doing great. Jeff, let me get you to shift around a little bit more towards this front. I'm going to climb back here to show some stuff. Now back here are the two containers. I planted two containers with some grasses in here, and let me see if I can find the names of the grasses. I'll put them down below because I'm not going to be able to find them at this moment. But two varieties of grasses. This one right here is a perennial. This one is supposed to be perennial, but it typically dies back. And then I do have a sedum in here, and these have probably doubled in size already. This particular purple grass, before we get our first frost, it should grow another 2 feet tall, which will be really nice. I would like to start this earlier in the year. I bought these all on clearance and then started them late summer. I would like next year I'd like to start a similar idea, especially with this deep purple tone to add more contrast. I'd like to start it earlier in these pots raised up and then have them growing 3 to 4 feet tall. I think would just be amazing here. Alright, so this is probably the junkiest area I have right now because all my meteor showers of verbena is going to seed because I want it to spread. So it's not looking super great right here. I will say like the plumbago is looking really pretty right now. That's looking good. I do have over here, I have some zinnias that have seen better days. I need to get in here once again and just do a big harvest over here and start trimming these out. But let me get Jeff to spin around over here on this direction. Don't die. Careful. Okay, can you get all this area? Okay, so I have a bunch of dahlias coming back. These really suffered during the summer. They did give me some blooms early summer, and then I end up getting them a really harsh cutback, and they're coming back for me again. I think that is going to be the new direction that I go with my dahlias. I'll give them time to bloom early summer. If they don't give me anything early summer, just going to go ahead and cut them all the way back and then allow them time to rebloom and reset for the fall. And you can see, like, here's one of the blooms over here. I'll get Jeff to come up. This particular variety is called Color Spectacle. This is an older bloom, so it's a little bit faded, but it's absolutely beautiful. And these are tubers that have been in here 3+ years, and they keep coming back. I do nothing to them. I don't divide them. I don't mess with them at all. But this area is looking fun. All the zinnias are really pretty coming across. A bunch of my Dusty Miller is looking not so hot. I'm trying to decide if I'm just going to pull it out or if I'm going to cut it back. I'm not sure. Trying to figure that out. I do have a summerific, I think this is a cafe latte hibiscus right here. It has struggled a little bit this summer. I'm hoping it is a perennial, so I'm hoping that it'll come back and it'll be bigger and better next year. I do really like how the zinnia has kind of climbed through it. I think it's really fun. Okay, so we're losing light really quick. We're going to try to wrap it up. This area is looking nice. I tucked in some fall colors. I tucked in some of these orange zinnias across the front. I had cut back my heated up yellow gaillardia during the summer because it was really struggling. That'll tell you how hot our actual weather was. The fact that gaillardia was struggling, and gaillardia loves the heat. And so yeah, it was having a really hard time. So I went ahead and cut it back, and it did bounce back really nice. And then over here are some of my bubblegum supertunias they did make it through the summer. Now, I said they make it through the summer. That doesn't mean they look amazing. This is not what they typically look like in the spring. They did struggle. I did have to baby them a lot. I'm not sure it was worth it for me to spend that much time and energy on the supertunias for them to only look like this in the fall. But let's see them through the fall, see how they end up doing. I think would be nice. Let me get a close-up over here for Jeff on this salsa dancer hibiscus, which is absolutely beautiful. This variegation on the leaves is everything. I am going to try to overwinter this guy because this particular one is not a perennial, but I'm obsessed with it. The variegation is absolutely beautiful. Just love it. Now this area is getting overwhelmed because I did a lot of fall planting this direction. My mums are starting to come back and bud up, getting ready to bloom. I planted a bunch of coleus, which is all coming through. Let me get Jeff to get a close-up of all of this red celosia. This is Orient number 2 red celosia, which I grew from seed. And it only grows to about 12 inches tall. And I started all of these from seed, put the little seedlings in, and it is absolutely lovely. I'm really happy with how it's looking. And I really I enjoy growing celosia from seed. I think it's really fun. I've also got some other gaillardias back here that are bringing a little bit of punch of orange tones, which I think are really nice. I think looks really good. And then even when Jeff sets back a little bit more, you can see back here I've got my original fall planter, which has just gone bonkers with all the coleus, and the pumpkin on a stick, which is doing really well. And then I planted a ton of coleus over here, and it obviously is very happy and has filled in this entire space. Okay, so we were trying to time it so that you guys could get a glimpse of the ghosts all lit up. The front porch has been really fun this year. If you haven't caught my Halloween transformation for my front porch, I will drop a link below in this video description so you can check it out. But I do want to get Jeff to come up here and check out the haunted house. So this is the area over here where I did a mix of the fresh, so all of the sweet potato vines are fresh, and then I did dried hydrangea blooms, and then I mixed in a bunch of silk blooms. This whole area is really just beautiful. I've really enjoyed it. And then Jeff will scan over and he'll show you my sweet haunted house that I made from just an old dollhouse off of Facebook Marketplace, and I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with the porch this year, and I know I say this every time. It's my favorite porch I've ever done. So if you haven't checked out that video, please do so. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I know it was fast. It was because the light is just, I'm not used to it. It goes so much quicker now. It doesn't stay light until 9 o'clock anymore. It's also hot, and I've also been sick, so I don't have as much energy as I have recently had. But I wanted to get this tour into September so you could see what everything looks like versus what I'm going to show you at the end of October. All right, you all, as always, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know my latest videos are up, and be sure to check me out on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. As always, she's a Mad Gardener or decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.